Good morning and good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, my name is Dr. Katie Lentz. I am with Oral Roberts University, and this is our presentation on researching, choosing, and transferring between institutions and programs. So a little bit about ourselves. I am the International Admissions Representative for ORU. I am the designated school official, which just means I get to sign the documents. I do have 17 years of experience in adult learning, training, hiring, and human resources. I do love this part about the coaching and guiding students. I was raised in the US, but I have traveled to 32 countries for ORU. Hopefully that will be more soon. I just recently finished my Doctor of Education, and my dissertation is on culture and international travel. I am the mother to a college senior graduating in December, excited about that, and host mom to many international students watching them graduate in May. It's a little bit of a sad time.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Dr. Ludmi Herath. I am the Director for the International Programs at the University of Houston, Victoria. Little bit about myself. I actually was an international student. I'm born and raised in Sri Lanka, so I know how it is to be you. I was you many years ago. And I remember how painful it was and stressful it was. And I was 17. I had my national exams to study, and at the same time, I had to do exams. And so I do understand. And I got my bachelor's, my master's, and my doctoral is in higher ed leadership. And I've just like Katie, I've traveled to over 37 countries, I believe, and I have worked with probably about over 3,000 international students. Being an international student myself, even though I'm not now, but it is very dear to my heart because my experience, I feel like I'm still reliving the experience. And I always tell students, yeah, it was a while back, but let me tell you, being in the field and knowing what you're going through, nothing has changed other than a little bit of fees going up. So without further ado, we want to go ahead and start going to the presentation. I did mention that we will answer questions as we go, but most likely we have a few minutes at the end for Q&A. If you're someone who's shy to ask questions, you can definitely type in the questions in the chat box or the Q&A box, and we will answer to your questions.
Absolutely, we love to answer the questions. It's one of the most favorite parts of my job, I think. So an international student's journey is quite different. You are all unique, you are all different. No single one of you are going to be the same, so your journey is going to be unique. You don't have to necessarily go to that same school as your best friend. You can still be best friends. There is a thing, that FaceTime that you guys can communicate. We do live in that digital world. So if US is the destination for where you want to study, you have 4,500 places to choose from. So you've got lots of opportunities to expand your knowledge, expand your world, and just see a little bit more of the world around you.
Okay. What we're going to cover today is, I know we have an hour and we do have a little bit to cover. So what we're going to cover is how to do your research. I know we have many students here. We have from undergrad students to graduate students. I know we have graduate students because I was chatting with some of the graduate students and they're in the session right now. And everything about the US, what you need to know, majors, minors, changing your academic field. Life after graduation, I just did the life after graduation session to my own students at our campus, preparing to study in the US. We're going to touch a little bit about immigration, how that's going to impact. And if you're an undergraduate student or a graduate student and you're thinking of transferring, we're going to talk about transfer options. The most important is sky is your limit. Just like Katie mentioned, you are unique. You have unique needs and wants, and what fit another student may or may not fit you. So this is why we are here. It's 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning for us right now, but we're dedicating our time because we want you to get all the information from us. We're the professionals in the field. Katie mentioned she's a DSO and I'm a PDSO. We are trained and we get paid to give the right information. And also your backup plan. I mean, one of the things that both me and Katie here is students' visas going to get denied. So what is your backup plan when your visa is denied? I mean, are you going to put 99% in the US application and then find out that your visa is denied? So we're going to talk about a lot of things.
So there's many different types of colleges. I mentioned there's 4,500 different degree granting institutions in the US. So you have many, many, many choices. The community college, which are 2-year technical, same 2-year colleges. Baccalaureate colleges, for-profit or nonprofit universities, tribal colleges, military institutes, private and public universities, research, master's granting, doctoral only, and then the special focus institutions, liberal arts, law, military, faith-based, medical, engineering. The list honestly can go on and on for the different types of universities and colleges that you can attend. One of the big things about this is you have options. You've got places where you can choose to go, and wherever you feel like this has the best future planning for you, then that's where you should absolutely look into. If there's something specific that you're looking for, if you definitely want to be that engineer, and your heart's been set on it and you've been focusing on it in secondary school, or if you want to do your master's, look into those engineering schools, because those are going to be very, very important for you. So what are you interested in studying? Do you even know? One thing to ask yourself is, what do you plan to do in the next 20 years? That's a serious question. What do you think you're going to be doing? Because what you're going to be studying can help you walk towards that. So we're going to go through that today.
Program specific. So we're going to talk about majors and minors. This is for undergraduate students. And it can also apply for graduate students if you are completing a program and that does have emphasis. You can actually, select what kind of emphasis also. So the major actually, it has number of credits units. A subject, it could be biology, computer science, digital gaming, psychology, mathematics, history, and it could have a theme. A professional field like nursing, accounting, pre-law, pre-medicine, veterinary, and you can always change your major. And one of the things to know is, we are going to talk about this later, is that as an international student, you do have to declare a major. So you cannot come as undecided, I'm still thinking, all those excuses. And also at the US Embassy, when you're facing the interview, they are going to ask what your program is. And if you don't have a program, a good program, thorough reasoning behind that program, they may think that you are not ready to study in the United States. And also, I want to take this moment to kind of apologize. My camera, I look like Matrix for some reason. It's changing colors. What is a minor? So a minor is an area of concentration, and graduate students can have this also. And it requires less classes. At our university, roughly about 18 credits to 22 to 25 credits. And you can add any number of minors. You could be a computer science with a business minor. You could be a computer science student with a digital gaming minor. I think I totally disappeared from the video. And also there's a couple of examples. And what our academic advisors do is, every university does this differently. It could be a success coach, it could be academic advisors, it could be the department. They work with you thoroughly on your degree plan. You can seek guidance. And also, to add another is, on average, students do change their major. If I tell you what I came to study, you'll be amazed. I came to study speech pathology. And quickly realized my passion is actually for helping students in education. So I did discover my passion after I came to the US. I would have not thought of education or being in the field that I am today if I didn't come here and then somebody opened my eyes about this field. And it could be you too. So don't worry if you're not 100% sure on your major. You can change your major, but keep in mind that you do need to declare major and you do need to have reasons why you're selecting this academic field.
And like Ludmila was saying, there's definitely some requirements. For international students, you do need to declare it to get in. So say if you put on your application that you want to go into nursing, and if they ask you any questions about that major and you can't say anything about that major, any kind of specifics, any kind of courses, again, they're not going to think that you're ready, or they're going to think you're coming into the US not for reasons of going to school. So they have to be able to know without a doubt. So on your application, you do need to declare a major because it's going to be on your I-20 form. So some majors you need to not be able to change. So when you declare them, it comes right away. So nursing, engineering, those type of majors, they need to be able to be declared right away. If you do change your major, like Libby was saying, you do have the opportunity to. If you change your major before you go to your visa appointment, please note that your I-20 still says your first major. So if you say I'm going into engineering and then you change it, well, I think I'm going into education, for your visa interview, you need to still be going for engineering. And we'll change it once you get here. If you do change it after you're in the US, it could mean longer time in the university because you're still required all the courses and degree, all the courses for that degree plan. So it probably means longer time in the university or more money spent on the tuition at the university.
And I do want to add to what Katie said for graduate students, because I know we have graduate students in the audience today. Um, if you're a graduate student, you need to know your major. You can't your academic field, especially you're coming as a graduate student. You do have some flexibility in changing the program, but always remember when you do come to a program and you do one program, credits may not transfer to the other program that you're looking at. So you may, have more time. But as a graduate student, you really need to think hard, think strong, and then make sure that you absolutely know what program you're coming into, because that is a red flag if you don't know what program you're coming into as a graduate student. If you're a graduate student, just make sure that you do your research, you're admitted to a program, and every university's admissions is quite different. So even though you were admitted to a computer science program, you may be able to go into the MBA program, but you have to complete another application, make sure that you meet the requirements for that particular program. So just because you were admitted to computer science graduate program doesn't mean that you're automatically going to be granted admissions to the MBA program. So just keep that in mind.
Good. So not usually for graduate students, but definitely for the undergraduate students, you do have the opportunity to either double major or dual major, and there's a difference. So double major basically means you're getting two separate degrees, a bachelor's of arts and a bachelor's of science. Some schools are going to require reasons as to why you're doing this, and your length of stay at the university is going to be longer because you are doing two programs. A dual major is if you do one degree, like a bachelor's of science, in two different concentrations. This won't take as long to complete because many of the courses do overlap. So they do have elective spots that you can fill in. Now, please remember, majors are not trophies. They're not going to line up, your shelf. They'll hang on your wall, but what is the point in getting them? If you have an absolute, love to be in international relations, but you want to be able to do communications with that, okay, that's great. But if you want to do communications and engineering, those are going to be two totally different degrees, and it's going to take you quite a while to be able to complete those. So let double majoring be the effect, not the cause of your passions.
Um, As an undergraduate student, when you do come to the United States, your academic degree is somewhat not the same like your back home degrees. It could be different, and it is different. And some of the courses are you have elective courses, major courses, and general ed foundation classes. So you may wonder, I mean, this is one of the questions that we get from international students all the time. With me, I'm a computer science major. Why do I need to do astronomy? You do because it falls under general ed, so you do need to meet the requirements. Most universities functions in a credit unit system, and I'm not sure ORU, but for UHV, undergraduate is between 120 to 128 credits. So you do have to fulfill all of those credits. So those credits are actually a combination of what you see in the screen. So you get elective courses, major courses, and general ed classes. And they all connect to each other. So if you don't do general ed classes, doesn't mean that you can take a major class, because that general ed is a requirement to take one of those major classes. So they're connected with each other. Now, as a graduate student, graduate programs are typically, depending on what program you're in, it can range from 34 to 38 to 48 credits. If you're a PhD student, boy, that can go up to 60 credits or more. So your advisors are going to work with you, and usually the courses are pretty strictly outlined, and you do have electives there too, depending on what kind of degree plan that you're going into. You will also see elective courses as well. And also on top of these undergrad and graduate students, you will see many institutions having a co-op or internship credits. That means, you know, you are able to complete an internship outside of your campus or sometimes on campus related to your field, and that is part of your curriculum. It's an integral component of your curriculum. And what does that mean is, as you're taking classes, you're also taking a class, but that class is working in the industry. And many universities have these options also. So one of the key things that I tell students is, research your program, research the university. There's 4,500 universities. You are going to find a fit. The most important, I say, for students is make sure that you find an academic program that the internship or the co-op programs are built into the program. As an international student, that is one of the key things to look for. I did internships and I got a job right away after graduation. And I know at any campus or any employer will attest to you saying that they are looking for students with at least 1 to 2 internships in their belt after they graduate, by the time they graduate.
Absolutely. That's job experience. You got to be able to have the job experience. So that was the liberal arts degree. And so what's the difference? Saying, well, I want to go into my professional, I want to be education, nursing, pre-law, pre-med. So there's going to be a difference, and how they weigh out is what it shows here. So coursework in liberal arts degrees is what we were saying, the humanities with your area of focus. That's your major coursework, your major classes. And you can get a job in pretty much any field. A degree in communications, you can get a job pretty much anywhere, because everywhere requires communications. Now for the professional degrees, all of your coursework are going to be very specific, very practical in the skills. Those programs are definitely going to lead to licensure. And so for like the law, you'll go to law school. For the med, you'll go to med school. Usually nursing is done right away, but it's a very specific course load while you're in your bachelor's program. Same for education. So not a whole lot of room to change just for those.
And then I do want to add to what Katie said on professional degrees. And I know both me and Katie, we come across students who wants to do medicine in the US, but is not sure of how it is. So typically in rest of the world, a medical degree can be 4 to 6 years, and that's it. 4 years, medical degree, you come out as a doctor. You do have internships. Yes, you do. But in the United States, even before you go into internships or the practicums or the residency, you have to fill at least 8 years of academic background and another 4 years. So you're looking at, 8 to 10 to 12 years. So, and these are things that you have to pay also. Scholarships on med schools are very limited for international students. So you're looking at roughly about, 8, 10, 12 years of schooling. And same goes with law. I think law is roughly about what, 7 years?
Yeah, 7.
Um, 7 years. So don't think coming to America and doing a medical degree is like back home, that you can be done with 4 years, 5 years, or 6 years. That is not the case. Just keep that in mind.
So what are you going to do with that philosophy, history, or literature degree, and that liberal arts degree? It's going to give you critical thinking skills. So it's not just rote memorization. It's finding a different way to view the situation. It's going to do problem solving skills. There's a lot of group work. The students realize when they get into these degrees and they think they've got to present in a group, they've got to write a paper together. It's learning to work with different personalities. And that's going to be very important because the personalities are going to be different than where you're from. Research and writing skills, these are going to give you just a heads up in the market, the ability to say, I can look into that, I can research that, I can write that paper. These degrees are going to help you with that. And then your marketplace value, as Ludmila was saying, to be able to have those internships, be able to have that experience in the field, you want to make sure that you're employable. Am I going to fit into this job? Is this job going to fit me? Am I going to be valuable for this job? Do I bring things to the table, so to speak, to say that I am going to be valuable for this job? Longevity just means it's that moment where you say, I can be in this job for a long time. That's the same for, enjoyable long term. So if you are going into mechanics or machine, just realize that with artificial intelligence, a lot of that stuff is going to be less and less that people are running. So that make sure that you can actually sit there for a long time and be able to enjoy it, and that you are going to love it. We're not just talking about 5 or 10 years here. We're talking about the rest of your life. So it's a very big decision to be able to make right now.
Okay. Does my major have to relate to a specific career? And I struggle to answer this question to international students mainly, because you may have completed your A levels or your 12th grade in biology, physics, chemistry, accounting, finance, but you may want to go in the same path because that's where your experience is. So what you did for high school doesn't translate to what you're coming to do in the United States. Um, if you have math background, great. You're going to do absolutely well in your math classes and your engineering classes. I did biology, physics, and chemistry in A levels. And when I came to the United States, I totally did something different. That didn't mean that I didn't have experience. So one of the things is, students from certain regions of the world, they think they need to end up with the same field throughout the career. So biology undergrad, biology master's, biology PhD. Not necessarily. So I think Katie can explain this to you also. My undergrad is in speech communications. My master's is in public policy, and my doctoral in higher ed leadership. So you can see it's 3 different fields, but those 3 fields are interconnected to what I'm doing now, right? I mean, what I gained from bachelor's, everything. Public policy, that's all I do. As a PDSO, it's policy writing, and not 70% of my job. I'm writing policies that is impacting international students at our university. So most majors, you're not going to find a very specific major that you want to do. So my advice is, if you know where you are seeing or your visioning is what your job is, do a simple Google and see what kind of requirements these jobs are looking for. And I can guarantee you, in the United States, nobody is going to ask for a very specific academic degree unless it's a professional field like nursing, right? Or health, or medical, or law. But if you're a computer science, or if you're engineer, they're going to say a computer related field, or experience in computer, or biological sciences related field. That means it could be biology, it could be microbiology, it could be molecular biology, it could be any biology. So it all also depends on where your experience is coming from. So keep that in mind. You all are here today because you want to study in America, which means you're going to be doing CPT, which is internships, and you're going to be doing optional practical training, which is doing your job, is going to be in the United States. So, which means you should know or learn or understand that your major doesn't necessarily needs equals career. You could be an engineering student, computer engineer, but working in a job that a computer science student can also go into. So keep that in mind. Just like the slide says, some 80% of the workers in the US are in a career field not directly related to their major. And I totally agree in that statement. Average person changes career fields 2 to 3 times. Absolutely. So it's, I mean, that is being very conservative. I would say, like on the campuses that I've worked, students at least have changed their field 4 or 5 times because most students don't know what they want to do at 17, 16 years of age. Um, will college degree satisfy most? Yeah, a college degree satisfies most of the entry level job qualification, regardless of your degree. You have a degree, you fill that box saying, I have a bachelor's degree. So keep that in mind, especially for students where you believe that all 3 degrees needs to be related to one another. I mean, I have students saying, no, Ludmi, I need a biology master's. I need a biology doctoral because my undergrad is biology. Not necessarily. So keep that in mind. Like I said, remember our first slide? Sky is the limit. So in the United States, we don't limit you just to be in one area because that just limits who can get the job. You could be the best person in the field, but if you don't have a certain degree, that doesn't mean that they're not going to hire you.
No, that's very true. I've got not as different in my degrees. My 2 degrees, my bachelor's and my master's, are going to be basically in hospitality and doctoral in education, but I'm using those hospitality degrees with my students. I'm loving on my students in that way. Another difference, you're saying the biology degree, my South African daughter is finishing her bachelor's degree in biology, got accepted into a doctoral program for her doctoral degree in clinical psychology because she wants to be able to compare the biology of the people as to what's going on in their mind. So she wants to be able to put all those together to bring back to her country, which I think is, honestly, I think is amazing and incredible. So she's definitely, she thought she was going on to medical school, but she's going to do a different type of doctorate. So like Lumi was saying, you can do that different type of doctorate. So how do you do your research? How do you find your fit? What is important to you? Obviously, the number one thing that students say is important to them is the funding, the cost of the school. It's going to be very important. And it is very important. It's an investment in your future. So if you want to go to that school, that's $100,000 a year, but you can't really afford that $100,000 a year, it's probably a good idea to research other schools and find one that isn't as expensive. The location of the school, size of the campus, again, the cost, the program minor, the major, minor, and the rankings. Please note that rankings are going to be a little bit different. There's going to be the national level and then at the regional level. So usually the big universities, Ivy Leagues, are going to be at that national level. You say, I want to be the #1 on the new U.S. News and World Report. It doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't other amazing universities at the regional level all over the country. Safety, job placement. How well am I going to be able to be connected with my with the field that I can get a job in? Return on my investment. Again, this is an investment in your education. The application process, securing a U.S. visa, like Libni was saying, that's going to be very important. So for the funding, so how much can my family support? And how much in scholarships can I apply and get? When you're comparing schools and you're comparing scholarships, you can't say, well, they gave me $20,000 in scholarships when the overall cost is $100,000. as opposed to the other school who's giving you $10,000 in scholarship and their overall cost is $40,000. So when you look at scholarships, make sure you look at percentages for that when you're comparing them, if everything is exactly the same except for the scholarship, and then how much can your family support, and be realistic with that. Be realistic. Just because your family can say, well, we can spend X amount of dollars, is that saving money for your siblings to go to school? Is that making sure that everything is good with mom and dad back home? So it's going to be very important. For the location, do you want to live in that bigger city? Do you want to live in New York City and take the subway to school, or Chicago or Los Angeles? Or do you want to live in a rural city, a little small town city where a couple thousand students at the university and everybody knows everybody? Maybe metropolitan city. I mean, I think we've got more of metropolitan living for both of ours. Decent sized cities, decent sized campuses, but not crazy, not expansive. That's definitely going to be for us. And location is going to be your living expenses as well, especially if you choose to live off campus. So if you're going to live in New York City, my cousin did her medical degree in New York City. Her 900 square foot apartment that she shared was something like $2,000 a month. So just know that your location can mean your living expenses are going to be either very expensive or hardly expensive at all. And then you want to look at the costs. Like I said, the cost with or without the scholarships. Make sure to look at those percentages. And what does it cost to apply? Your TOEFL, your SAT for those graduate students, do you need that GRE or the GMAT? Those are expensive and they take money to, they cost money to take those. Does the school offer any application fee waivers? I've got students that I'm working with now that have been applying to graduate schools and to med schools, have spent a couple $1,000s in application fees to be able to apply to some of these schools. And how often does the cost increase? Please note, universities increase their cost nearly every year. That cost could be 0.5%, it could be 4 or 5%. So how much are they going to increase? How often are they going to increase that tuition cost? Living off campus versus living on campus, some universities make their on-campus living to be very affordable as compared to off-campus living, and you have that community right there on campus. So everything is right there and you're just surrounded by it. Some of them are going to be smaller campuses and they don't even offer dorm living, but they do offer campuses close or apartments close by. And then lastly, how expensive are the school fees? That's going to be your tuition, your fees, student service fee, all of those. So look into all the fees, not just the tuition, but all the other fees that are going to be involved with that.
And then a few other areas. We did discuss about program major minor rankings. Campus size, like I mentioned, I was an international student. I had the option to pick from 4,500 universities. I picked 6. I applied for 6 back in the day. Campus size was very important to me because coming from a different country, I didn't doing a program that, like I said, I was biology, physics, chemistry, coming in to do a different program. I didn't want to be in a classroom there where there was 500 students in this general education. So looking for a smaller university was very important to me. I needed that 101. And because I got that 101, I was able to do things that I would have never done before, because the advisors and the faculty and other staff members saw me and reached out to me. And then I always call like they really peeled me like an onion, and really got everything that I wanted to do and trained me. Um, Also, safety. How important is safety for you, to your family? Do you look at the city rates, crime rates, and things like that? Another part, for me and most of our international students, is job placement. You are investing, just like Katie said, it is an investment. You are investing all this money. Your parents have saved this money all their life, and then you're bringing their money. And can I get a job? 4.5 years after undergraduate years, 2 years after graduate program. How am I getting the jobs? We did talk about internships. So this is very critical. You can spend all the money you want. You can graduate from a program, but if you're not getting a job, that means you haven't done much with your professional resume and experience to get the employers attracted to you or to offer you positions. Right now, it's a terrible time because of COVID-19 and all others going on. But some universities have virtual internships. One of the universities that we have virtual internships for international students or domestic students, all students. So these are very critical areas that you want to look into. And Katie did talk about return on your investment. So, for example, let's say your parents took a loan for 4 years, they took $120,000. Um, how can you, as their student, pay this money back? How long is it going to take this for you to pay this money back? Are you making enough money to from this job or from what you're making? If you're making $45,000 a year, can you pay off some of the loan? So these are things that you do want to look into. Some fields, STEM fields, generally starts off with 42,000 and above, depending on what state you're staying in, kind of a position. But some fields, like I know my field in education, the starting point is $34, $37, $38,000 a year. So if I have a $120,000 loan, I'll be paying that loan for a while. So those are things that you do need to look into.
All right, Ludmi, you want to talk about this one too?
Sure. So application process is something that you do look into. And remember, keep in mind, don't rush your application process. When you rush your application process, that's when everything goes wrong, including the visa, because you haven't done your research. So the visa office is going to ask you a bunch of questions. You're going to be stuck because you rushed the process. Don't rush the process. Normal timeline to start for the time that you step your foot in a classroom, roughly you need to keep 9 to 10 months. I would say keep at least 12 months, because that gives you to get your testing ready, applications done, and be familiar with the university you're going into. And so look at application fees. Katie did mention about, applying for 20 universities. Each university application fees can range from $20 to $500. It could be expensive. How many institutions are you applying? 5, 10, 15, 20? I applied 6. I know research says an average international student applies to about 5 to 6 universities. Now the trend is international students are so sure what university they want to go to, they apply for 1 to 2. That's fine too. But always know why you limited to 2 schools. What attracted you for those 2 schools? Because that is something that the U.S. Embassy is going to ask. How many schools did you apply? Just one. Why just one school? So always know that when you are applying anything that you do, that you have a reason behind it, and the reason shouldn't be my friend did this, right? Um, what are other application requirements? Your GPA, all universities in the US will convert your GPA to the US GPA. So don't worry about it. We do all the math. Test scores. Many universities will ask for ACT, SATs, GRE, GMAT, TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo. Some universities will ask personal statements, recommendation letters, and some interviews are graduate psychology counseling programs, interviews every student. So they will do interviews. Some down payments, deposits. Am I going to be waitlisted? What is the acceptance rate? If I put all these effort, will I get it accepted for this university? I'm paying $250 for the application fee already, even before I get accepted. So these are things that you do need to look into. Universities are competitive. Every university is competitive. So they have very competitive packages for international students. And they've also amended their admissions process and requirements. So look at universities that is waiving your GRE. If you are a great student with a 3.0 above GPA, some universities will waive your GRE. Some universities will waive your GMAT. That's savings of $200 that you don't need to take for the test, right? And if you are very fluent in English and you are in a professional field coming to graduate programs, ask if you could get the English proficiency waived. Some universities may offer that option for you. So these are ways that you can actually cut down. Some of the things that our university doesn't do is we don't ask for personal statements, we don't ask for recommendation letters, because we know that you are going to say everything nice for us. So those things, some universities has taken off. So look at how easy to apply and then go from there. And but some universities, there's a process and you have to follow all the testing, all the requirements. And also one of the other important things is, after you've been admitted, what are the other services you have? You're thousands of miles away, 10,000 miles away. Can you get virtual orientation help? Can you talk to somebody? Can you get help in housing? Those are things that, you do need to look into.
So what college is the best fit for me? What is the right choice? Is it someone else's choice? There's nothing worse than finding your dream school and then finding out it doesn't offer the major you've ultimately chosen. That plan B that Ludmi talked about, have that backup plan. So with your professors, because you're kind of choosing your professors too. You're going to be spending time with them. You're going to be mentored by them. You're going to start thinking, acting, talking like them, kind of like choosing your parents. You're going to be spending a lot of time around these people. So make sure that's important that you look into those as well. Don't settle. Don't settle about the college, about the degree you've chosen. If you want to study whales, study marine biology. If your parents want you to go to a certain school due to their prestige, but the school doesn't offer marine biology, don't settle for it. But definitely work with them. If they're paying for your education, you have to find that happy medium for them. The school's reputation talks about, the ranking, marketing, U.S. News and World Report. Make sure and do your research. Make sure the school you want to attend is known for that major. Every school has multiple major offerings, but only know a handful of those. And then have a backup plan. Make sure what college you choose has at least 2 of your top 5 major choices. If you want to go into the design of buildings, make sure your college offers architecture and construction management. That's going to be really important because you have to be able to be happy, and only you can make you happy.
So how do you know what your best fit is? Self-assessment, right? I mean, you can do self-assessment on your own. Who are you? Who do you want to be? How hard can you work? Do you know this is a 4.5 year process? What makes you special? Excuse me. College assessment, narrowing the field down, creating a work life, finding your social life. My dissertation actually was comparing domestic students and international students in this a university-wide survey that many universities adapt. It's called National Survey for Student Engagement. If you compared both the groups in 15-year span, we learned that American students and international students equally love to socialize. So you do need to carve some time out. It wasn't the case 10 years ago, but it is definitely the case right now. So you have to strategize. I'm going to take 15 credits this semester, maybe 6 credits in the summer. So you, as an international student, you are always planning ahead. And let me tell you, that doesn't stop. You have to make sure your visa is expired. You're putting down my visa is expiring on this day. So you have to strategize. And, like we've been telling from all along, you're unique. There's 4,500 universities. You're going to find your best fit university. And it's not a barrier or a hurdle or a difficult situation to find that one school. That's why we're here. But just like we said, just make sure that you are focusing on what's important to you. As an international student, cost was my number one. I knew my program is available in most campuses, but the cost was important to me. I sat down with my family. They said X amount of dollar amount. This is how much we're paying. Include me. Figure it out. That's the school that you are going to go. So those are conversations, hard conversations that you need to have with your family. Don't wait till you the visa interview to ask those questions from your family. So just make sure, if you're somebody who needs to write down things, so it kind of makes you recognize, realize, remember things, that this is a commitment. You can't come halfway through, pack up and go back home and tell your parents, I'm sorry, mom and dad, I can't do this. I spent all of your money for 2 years. I'm coming back without a degree. So that's not something that your parents wants to hear. So self-assessment, college assessment is something that you do need to take it very seriously. On another note, remember, US dollar most probably is a little bit higher compared to your currency rates. So which means your family is paying triple, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, in my case, a lot of times, to get an American dollar to send you to the US. So keep those things in mind. You have no time to waste.
Right, so we have been loving this counseling session with you. I don't want to run out of time, so I'm going to go a little bit quicker through it now. So choosing a major, this is a personal choice. When you go to make that choice, this is about you. You have to live with the decision, even if you're not paying for it. You're going to pay for it with your time. This is a time investment. So before, after, so it's about your time. It's about your happiness. Like I said, you can make you happy. If your major is not going to lead to your happiness, it's going to be on you. Your parents might want you to major in marine biology, but if you don't like whales, you probably shouldn't major in marine biology, because it's not going to make you happy. They're not going to be doing the job, you are. Be very realistic when you're looking at these. Every major has its pros and cons. So make sure you look at class sizes, advisement support, job placement, etc. The safe majors that will typically have a job somewhere: mathematics, health, business, education, computer science, information technology are considered safe majors. The versatility, ensure you're getting learning skills for the future job market, not the job market right now, but a practical set of skills that are going to help you in the future going forward. Okay, so why are you investing your time and resources in your education? Because you want that job. And how do you work towards getting that job?
Some of the desired skills that employers are looking for is just like how it says in the screen: communication skills, honesty, integrity, work skills, flexibility, adaptability, teamwork, organizing, time management. And these are things, how do you get these things? You can get these things through on-campus employment, teamwork that you're doing with your other peers in classes, and a lot of other things, volunteering, taking part in events. So when you do come into the United States and you do select a university, you do go through a program, these are things that you will be building throughout your 4 years, if you follow what your academic advisors are telling you to follow.
So explore the majors early. Look at the program requirements. All the university is going to offer you the opportunity to see the degree plan sheet, which is the classes that are going to be required. So it's not just about getting in there and seeing what I could learn, but definitely see what classes you're going to take. Have no surprises. Talk to adults in the field that are currently doing that by shadowing them or interviewing them. Do your own research. Volunteer. It's amazing what you can learn by being a volunteer, because you get to be at the heart of the matter. I knew I always wanted to work in the food business. So as a teenager, I volunteered at our local soup kitchen, which was a place for the homeless to be able to get free food. And I volunteered every summer for about 3 years. And I fell in love with just taking care of people in that way. And food is always my favorite thing to be around. So I wanted to be able to do that. And so volunteering really solidified my love of being in the hospitality field. The internships, like Ludmila was talking about, if you don't know, have that internship. If you think you want to be a sports writer, get that internship with ESPN while you're in your studies, and saying, you know what, I really don't want to work for ESPN and being a sports writer. I like sports, but so maybe a different type of options. So definitely do your internships. Summer classes, Summer classes are going to be amazing because they're going to let you finish early, or they're going to give you the opportunity to explore something else, to say, I'm kind of interested in this. Let me take a class in it over the summer. So definitely think ahead in your planning process. Some things to keep in mind. Don't choose a major based on the income potential alone. You could make $100,000 a year, but if you're not happy, it's not worth the money. This is a business decision, so just keep that in mind. Now, don't let authority figures influence you too much. Authority figures such as your parents, even your counselors. This is you. Take in all the information that they offer. I mean, there's going to be a plethora of information that's going to get thrown at you. Take it all in. Do your own research. The internet is an amazing source. You can have admissions reps like Libby and I to be able to talk with, but definitely do your own research and get experience in your chosen major early. That's by that volunteer or the internships. Don't follow your friends. You are your own person. Be unique, like we've been saying, be unique. Don't double major without a reason, and don't wait too long to choose your major, because you're going to be spending more of mom and dad's money to be in school. And don't choose your major based solely upon a romanticized image. What that means is just because you like that movie and they were doing a lot of computer science things in that movie doesn't mean you're going to want to be in front of a computer for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 52 weeks out of the year for the next 40 years. Just realize what you love to do.
Okay, so now that you have decided, now what? If you can visit virtual tours, you can visit the campus, you've narrowed down the universities, get your recommendation letters ready, get your application done, and remember to complete the application. Don't waste your time emailing back and forth saying, can I get scholarships? Can I get scholarships? Nobody can give you anything until you apply and you have sent some of the documents. So even if you email us saying, can I get a scholarship? Yes, we are going to give you the standard answer. Yes, you are eligible for scholarships, but you need to apply. Timelines are very different for university to university, so we're going to really move quickly in this one. Most application deadlines can range from due date from March to June for fall semester, and then for spring semester can be from October to all the way to December, depending on whether it's a semester or a quarter system. What is most important is that you do apply ahead, you do get the immigration document, because you don't get the immigration document, you can't come here. So make sure that you follow through those steps. And then typically move-in date is sometime in August for fall semester, and sometime in January for spring semester for those who are in semester systems. Do you want to take it?
Sure. So what happens if I change my mind? Okay, like Lumi was saying, came over here, oh my gosh, I changed my mind. Life happens. You can always change your mind. But look, is there an alternative plan? Do I have to change? Can I take biology, or does it need to be medical molecular biology? Is the change really necessary? How far into the program are you? Meaning, should you change, or should you maybe think, I think I'll go to graduate school for that instead? Look at that cost that's involved. When you switch institutions in the same state, when you are looking for universities, make sure they are accredited. That's going to be very huge. Accredited at that regional level, has that highest accreditation on there. That way, when you change from university to university, your credits will change with you. So those are definitely something you need to look into.
And we did cover this, like things for you to remember. Recap from what we've discussed, ask yourself these questions. What am I looking for in college university education? Do I know what it takes to start? How will my return on investment be? Am I thinking to do graduate studies? So these are questions that you do need to answer yourself now. Don't anticipate that you're going to think about graduate school at your last semester as you're about to graduate. So these are things you do need to look into. Again, don't choose a major based on the income potential. Don't let others influence you. Do your due diligence. That means is you need to take responsibility in getting all the research, getting all the answers. We're here at 3 o'clock in the morning, helping you to answer all the questions. Ask from us, not from your friends. Get experience in your chosen major early, just like Katie mentioned, volunteering, shadowing. It can be back home, and it can be in the US also. Don't double, triple major without a good reason.
So I love this one, these final tips. It's all about you. This major is about you. You decide what is best for you. You choose the major. You do your research. You are your own person. You can select the path that you wish. We are here to help, like she's saying. And you are attending the university. You are going to be the one taking the test and have that backup plan. So the US visa is not granted to everyone. They have been more and more strict in the past few years. So then we're going to say a little bit about our university. So Oral Roberts University is mine. We have students from now 121 countries in all 50 states, so we're very globally diverse. Just over 4,100 students, and 20% of them are international. Our top 5 countries are Nigeria, China, Brazil, South Korea, and India. So, and that's by a very close margin. And then our top 5 majors are going to be business admin, engineering, psychology, nursing, and biology. So we are considered a research university for that. But we just got our number 5 in engagement in the US. So we're super excited about that. So for our business majors, they scored 94% on their national test. What that means is over the 100,000 students that took that test, our students scored in that top 94 percentile for that. In the specific majors, marketing, accounting, and international business, they got a 99%. So our business majors are definitely scoring very high on their national test. Right now, we're at a job placement rate or graduate studies at 99%. So we're excited about that. I love that picture of our graduates. We're getting ready to watch them graduate again May 1. And then Ludmila was talking just briefly just with scholarships. Yes, we do want to give you scholarships. Absolutely, the answer is always going to be yes, but you have to go through the process. One of our main scholarships is the Quest Whole Leader Scholarship. So we are going to ask you questions for whole person education, mind, body, spirit, with an emphasis on leadership, because we know you're not there yet, but you're on a quest to be there. We want to be able to recognize that out of you.
Okay, it is my turn. We're from the University of Houston, Victoria. We're located in Victoria, 2 hours away from Houston. Just like the beginning, we are considered a rural city, but a medium-sized rural city. We have roughly about 75, 80,000 people in our community. And we are in close proximity to all destinations. Austin is 2 hours, Houston is 2 hours, San Antonio is 2 hours. Our specialty is actually keeping the cost affordable. We are known as the 5th most affordable university in Texas. If you know Texas, Texas is pretty large. 3rd highest number of international students are in Texas. So we have a lot of international students. On top of being the 5th most affordable university, we are offering scholarships for all international students. Next slide, Katie. Okay, we're right now 4,900 students. We roughly have over 150 international students, and our scholarships ranges from 3,000 to 10,000. If you're a grad assistant, you have a possibility of reaching up to 12,000. And just like Katie said, we give funding, we give scholarships, but you have to apply and go through the process. I just received saying, can I get a teaching assistantship position? Yes, but I can't offer it to you just by you asking it from me. You have to complete the process. Most popular programs at our university, we are a huge computer science university, computer science, computer info, digital gaming and simulation, artificial intelligence, they're all computer science. And then, of course, business programs, which are AACSB accredited. And we have biology, biomedical sciences. Our biomedical sciences is very popular with students in the medical field, or they're doctors or they're physicians in other countries, and they complete the biomedical program as they are going through the residency program in the United States. So those are pretty popular programs that we have from international students. And now recently, psychology, forensic psychology, and counseling. I believe we've spiked our international students in our forensic psychology program. And a couple things, we are one of those universities who are actually waiving all sort of tests scores. It has taken our university a few years to waive GRE, GMAT as a institution. We've taken off all the testing. And the scholarships are not based out of your testing that we ask for American students to do. Our scholarships are based on your exams and your transcript from back home. And the most highest scholarship, the merit scholarship, you have to put in an application packet, which includes a personal statement and your professional resume. Our deadlines are June and November, June for fall, November for spring. And since I mentioned computer science, I would say pretty rarely that our computer science students hasn't secured an assistantship at our university, because we are pretty big into computer IT and gaming and simulation. And of course, on-campus employment is available, and we are a university that offers internships, CPT process for some of our students, depending on their academic program. We're right on time. 1 minute.
Oh, perfect.
I see there is a question. Can international students get in part-time jobs starting from their second year? Actually, international students can do part-time jobs on campus from the very first semester you're on campus. But if you're looking at off-campus, the only option you have is through internship opportunity, which is called the CPT. But many universities, CPT process is quite different, because that needs to be an integral academic component of your academic program. So short answer, yes for off-campus and yes for on-campus, but every school is going to be different.
I'm just gonna have to stop you there. We are getting ready for our next session. So thank you both Katie and Ludmila for this amazing presentation. You can check out their booths in the exhibit hall. Have a good one, and thank you so much
Thanks
for
all.
participating. Bye now.
Bye.
Katie.